The GOP has a problem. Thus, America has a problem. At this point, the Republican Party is the only party standing between us and a self-centered government hell-bent on making our people their servants. If one party is united in that pursuit, which the Democrats are, it would make sense that Republicans would be united at stopping them. But they're not. Instead, from omnibus spending insults to lazy continuing resolutions to lawless and selective application of our laws, to staffing our government with known anti-American elements, a frightening number of Republicans are committed to forcing you to fund it all. Does America need pro-Democrat Republicans? That's the question we address in today's preamble. There have been several inflection points in the last 2 years where the GOP had the power and the opportunity to stand in the way of the destructive Marxist policies of the Democrats, but didn't. In some cases, the GOP actually piled on the pain, joining Democrats and really laying waste to our once representative republic. After the GOP had won control over the House in the 2022 red fizzle, Mitch McConnell, Mitt Romney, John Cornyn, and 15 other Senate Republicans, they tripped all over themselves to make sure the incoming House GOP had no ability to restrain Democrats' dangerous, irresponsible, and unsustainable spending. Joining in on the fleecing of America was bad enough, but the GOP senators there added insult to injury, led by Senator John Cornyn and other left-wing Republicans. The Uniparty voted for and passed a funding package that said, quote, "None of the funds shall be used to hire permanent federal employees or to acquire, maintain, or extend border security technology and capabilities, except for technology and capabilities to improve Border Patrol processing." In other words, the GOP fully funded Joe Biden's efforts to usher in 7.5 million illegal aliens so far. They also ensured that the over 2 million known gotaways would have their numbers swell as well. The GOP locked arm in arm with the Democrats, opening the door to terrorists, ruthless gang members, and foreign military operatives. And look, less than a year later, another wave of illegal aliens is waiting to take advantage of the Biden, McConnell, Pelosi, Cornyn open border, devastating my home state of Texas. Reports from journalists on the border reveal, quote, "One of the largest mass illegal crossings we have ever seen. Migrants continue to have no fear of consequence for crossing the U.S. border illegally. They believe if they step foot on U.S. soil, they'll be released. These numbers are expected to get worse," end quote. All conceived of, folks, by Democrats and funded by the pro-Democrat members of the Republican Party. The next inflection point was, of course, the debt ceiling. After the GOP's pro-Democrat antics in the Senate led to no voters actually being inspired to vote for GOP senators, the GOP was appropriately relegated to the minority. As such, they weren't a huge factor in stopping Democrats, not that they were inclined to do so anyway. So all the focus was on the House, the place where spending bills are supposed to originate. The newly elected GOP majority started out promising enough. They put out a modest proposal that reduced the level of increased overspending. This proposal didn't make any cuts. Under the initial plan, the government was never going to spend less in 2023 than it did in 2022. It was a reduction in the rate of massive overspending. But instead of that, negotiators, under threat from pro-Democrat Republicans who love the idea of spending their grandchildren into the poorhouse, just the way the Democrats had proposed, they blackmailed Kevin McCarthy into agreeing to spending increases, on top of all the already dangerous spending levels issued by Biden and the Marxists in his party. The spending fanned the flames of inflation, fully funded the DIE agenda, invested in the raping and strip mining of the planet for rare earth minerals, paid off potential political cronies, went to foreign nations, funded lawless border policies, and did very little to advance the safety, security, and prosperity of the American people and the taxpayers. And look at what your tax dollars are funding. The disgraced pro-illegal immigration secretary, Alejandro Mayorkas, just created something called the Homeland Intelligence Experts Group. Given Mayorkas' track record, I suspect this group, well, they're going to have the job to keep an eye on you, not to protect you. But who do they find to staff this group? Well, none other than former Obama DNI James Clapper, former Obama CIA Director John Brennan, and a guy by the name of Paul Kolb. Who are these people? Well, these folks signed the fraudulent October 2020 letter from so-called intelligence officials deceptively asserting that Hunter Biden's laptop from hell was likely Russian disinformation. According to polling, that falsehood significantly impacted the closely contested 2020 election. Further, James Clapper is an admitted liar, a man who lied to Congress. But no Republican has sought to date to make him pay a price for breaking the law. Yes, you see, it's illegal to lie to Congress, even though Congress can lie to you all they want. John Brennan, in the meantime, in his formative young adult years, was a devout communist, proudly saying he was neither Republican or Democrat and casting his vote for the communist candidate for president. Even though Brennan claims that he's shed the communist label, his actions signal that he retains those anti-American values of communists. And Joe Biden's regime wants to make sure your hard-earned dollars fund communists, liars, and anti-American thugs. Sadly, the GOP makes sure that this left-wing jobs program is fully funded with your money. Let's not be too harsh on the pro-Democrat Republicans. What's not to love about socialist Democrats? Here's the senator who dresses like a bum, Senator Fetterman, giving an inspiring speech in support of the UAW strike. It's a speech that sends a clear signal to all you Republicans out there who quiver in your boots at the mere mention of the word Democrat. The message is don't mess with us left-wingers.
My message to the CEOs is, it's $74 million, collectively earning that. How many yachts can they need, to water ski behind it? It's just crazy.
Truly awe-inspiring, isn't it? And here is the leader of the Democrats showing up to speak at the anti-Semitic UN. By the way, not even America's closest allies showed up to hear this speech. No world leader respects Joe Biden, but pro-Democrat Republicans, they respect Joe Biden. Can you blame them with such powerful oratory as this?
Now, we need to evolve our institutions and drive creative new partnerships. Let me be clear. Certain principles of our international system are sacrosanct.
I don't know what he just said there just now, but the pro-Democrat GOP marvels at a Democrat's ability to say nothing and get elected anyway. Pro-Democrat Republicans, they are in awe of that man you just saw, Joe Biden. They can't wait to fund every jot and tittle of the agenda Biden's handlers tell him that he has. So back to my original question. Does America need pro-Democrat Republicans? Well, I think the answer is no, because if you have a choice between voting for a pro-Democrat Republican who speaks out against Democrat policies but then votes for and supports them, or voting for the genuine article, a Democrat who embraces anti-Americanism in all things, wouldn't you just vote for the Democrat? A note to the Republican Party, you might want to find a unifying principle somewhere, somehow. The future of this country is depending on it.